All right, we are live going into our portal. All right, we're going to go straight to our blue box, aesthetics, and we're going to go into introing chapter for you guys. Um, introing chapter 5. Going into the ebooks. Skin analysis. Okay, in this chapter, we're going to do a lot of case studies. So I want you to have you a notebook that's dedicated solely to this chapter because we're going to do a lot of evaluating of skin types and what's going on personally with the skin and how to build solutions. Okay. And so I already have given you study guides, chapter 5, and that's what I want you to study over the course of the weekend. We'll jump back in on Monday with a little bit more of chapter 5. All right. I know you if you have any questions, don't hesitate to text me, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So chapter 5, one thing that we need to know about skin analysis. There's a few things that we should look at. We're going to do a lot of case studies. I believe estheticians should literally train their eyes. So it's not all about the techniques that you do, but also about what you know. Okay. So we want to build our database of what we know with different skin types. What tools can we use to evaluate each person that comes before us so we can say, okay, these are the problems and how do we address them? And so we have a lot of clients that want to receive certain services. They want hydrofacials. They want this because it's popular. They're following the trend. But remember, there are things that may prevent them from getting the service. You need to know that you will become the expert. I believe this chapter starts to build expertise for every individual. Okay. It starts to build expertise. Let's look at the objectives for this chapter. So it says estheticians should study and have a thorough understanding of skin analysis because this is an area I really want you to hone in on. Okay, we're going to go to the slides as well, just so we can have some picture references. But you may ask, why do I have to study this? Here's your answer. Before performing services or selecting products, an individual skin type and conditions must be analyzed correctly to determine the appropriate treatment and products. And so here's the thing, guys. We can't just do the service on people. You got to be able to find out what's going on with their skin. Why did that happen? And how did it happen? Okay. Why did it happen and how did it happen? Um, and all within your scope of practice. We are not doctors, so we are not diagnosing anything. We're not giving them a treatment path. We're basically saying, how can we partner and work with you to make your skin more amazing? Okay. And there are some things we have to discover that's within our scope. And then there are also things that we have to forward over to a physician. You can't know that. You don't know that until you train your eye, until you study and show yourself approved. Okay. So it says before performing services or selecting products, before we do all of that, we got to know what's going on with the skin. So it says a thorough skin analysis and client consultation is especially important to determine the causes of skin conditions and any contraindications. The key word there is contraindications. That's something we want to highlight. Whenever you see contraindication, it serves as a doubt. Okay. Are there ever any doubt? Is there any doubt? All right. That this person should not receive this service. If there's a doubt, there's a question mark, and it calls for even more evaluation. Maybe this person cannot receive the service, okay? And so definitely these, and it also comes with forms and documentation. And so we do a lot of note taking and a lot of documenting when dealing with individuals with contraindications, and we're all students as well. Some clients are not able to use certain products. Some clients are not able to get certain services if other things are going on, even medical conditions. Okay. It says using a holistic approach, identifying healthy habits and behavior is detrimental to skin health. So, guess what? We're going to have a better understanding by asking questions. Okay. You're going to get a little nosy. You're going to ask a lot of questions. And at the end of the day, by you asking questions, it's going to make you a better esthetician, more observative, a detailist, and your clients will love you for it as well. Okay.
Hey there,
Hi.
Chaplain. Can I come in?
Yes. Hold on one moment, students.
Okay.
Hold on one moment. One moment,
Take
students.
your time.
All right, welcome, Miss Dennis. I was on pause for a minute. We did go ahead and get started. This is also being recorded. We have a two-part class this morning, um, and look at skin analysis and also analysis around the eye and areas of that particular area. So, in the consultation and analysis department, both courses need to make a relationship with the clients. All right. So let's proceed to just get started. Um, I did just reference some reasons why we have to do a skin analysis, why we need to do an in depth analysis of everything going on around the client, from the eyes to the eyebrows to the lashes, all the way around to skin types and questions. So, we're going to get into consultation. What should we be asking? And then also, we're going to get into how should we be training our eyes. All right. And so training our eyes, that's just what's going to make us just amazing. Also, I stated that we should remain teachable. Okay. So although we're learning, we're going towards a common goal, we definitely need to remain teachable. Okay. So some of the objectives and tools that we're going to use, we're going to learn about the power of vision. That's training our eye. We're going to learn about palpation of touch, okay, and conversation. So we're going to take our visual understanding of what we see, also our touch and our feel, okay, and bring that into observation, and then also our consultation, our questions, okay, our deep research as to what's going on with our client. And then we're going to talk about the different tools and things of that nature. So we're going to go this first part of the class. It is going to have a skin focus, and then the second part is going to have lash focus, where both of the classes come together because consultation and analysis is the major objectives of this week's course, this week and next week. Okay. We are going to look at some examples as well. And we do have an assignment to prepare. There has been a study guide for um, this chapter presented for those that came to class yesterday. You got the study guide. And Miss Dennis, I will email you the study guide for this chapter, okay? And so you can go ahead and start working on that. As you turn that in, your time will be recorded as well. And
Okay. Thank you.
not a problem. Okay. Now, when we look at the process of a skin eyelash analysis, we really train our eyes. And you heard me say that because trust what you see. Okay. Trust what you see, trust what you have learned, because at the end of the day, clients will tell you anything because ultimately they want the service, guys. A lot of times their care, their concern is not about the provider, but they want what they want when they want it. So I've seen them come in with things that such as headlights. I've seen them come in with scabies. I've seen them come in with ringworms, right? And they still want their services done. And so what happens with us, we're left in a predicament of like, oh wow, I have to go home and service my family. I have to go home and cook. I have to go home and take care of the kids. And so what happens when they come into our establishments with those types of contagious diseases, and I call them conditions and diseases and disorders, when they come into our establishments with those things, we cannot service them, and we should always have our protect us first, and then we will protect them. So protecting us is always, even in casual conversation, I'm going to put my gloves on. Even in casual conversation, I may put my mask on. Okay, I'm protecting me first because I have people depending on me, and so I'm always going to make sure I'm good, and then I'm going to protect the client. The gloves protects them, because if I have something going on, I'm not transmitting it. Okay, I have my mask on. If you feel comfortable, you may have to ask them to put a mask on, put a cape on. I'm going to tell everybody when it comes time for conversating with the client, I'm not going to conversate with the client in the area where I'm going to perform the service. Okay? It speeds up and eliminates that talking period where you have to get an understanding. Okay. So I'm not going to speed up the understanding. I want the client to understand what's about to happen, what services, if they can get the services, and how much the services are going to cost. All right. When we skip that part, we have these ball of emotions because we perform the services and have not given a value to it. And what if the client's not prepared to pay that value? Okay, they're not prepared for the commitment of this service that you're about to offer. And so we got to make sure that we train our eyes, trust our gut, which is our knowledge, and also protect ourselves. Use our words in our consultations and use our eyes in our analysis to make the best choice. Can they receive these services or can they not receive these services? Again, this is being recorded, so I want everybody to feel comfortable and still asking questions. And this is a intro for us, okay? So when we look at analysis, we first need to determine the appropriate treatment and product. A lot of time, I've had conversation with clients, and just by listening to them, and let's take note. Listening to the client is going to be top tier. We may always have something we want to do, but when we listen to the client, that's going to really tell us what's going on. Okay. Listening to the client really tells us the truth. You let them talk long enough, they're going to spill the beans. Okay. So definitely you're going to determine the appropriate products and treatment. So although we have conversation with the client and they tell us, hey, we want these types of lashes, I want them to last this long. I'm going to do a proper analysis before I choose which adhesive I'm going to use. I'm going to do a proper analysis before I choose which lash design I'm going to give them. Okay. Remember, analysis is using our eyes and consultation is using our words. These two got to mesh together. Okay. And so we need to properly make sure that we use our eyes and use our words before we determine what service they are going to get. So even though we know they want something, but we got to have that observation that'll determine if they can even get that service. Okay. And then when we see something, we want to determine what the cause of something is. Okay. And examples of seeing something, you may have clients with eczema and you see it on the face. You may have a client with a ringworm, you see it on the face. Those are two different things. Eczema is a skin condition, and ringworm we consider a communicable something that's communicable. Where if it's communicable, it cannot be serviced because it spreads from one person to the next. Eczema is a skin condition that can be serviced, okay, but they should also seek treatment as well as you work on them. So you can do services on people with eczema, but we cannot do services on people with ringworm. Okay. And so once we begin to learn how that looks, what that looks like, and we start listening to the client, you can determine if you can do the service and also when doing the service, how I'm going to do the service. Let's see. Somebody is trying to get in. Let's see. I got to go let somebody in. Okay. Welcome to those individuals who are just coming back in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Because I know that you are moving into services, I felt that we needed to jump over to this particular area of study just so everyone has a better and a greater understanding of what we need and what we got going on. We got to give that better understanding. Oh, it's the roll call. Make sure you're clocked in and name is in the chat. Um, we just have to make sure there's a better understanding. Okay, everybody is going to start from ground zero. I'm going to tell everybody now, like I've told the students who were on this when class started, make sure you get you a notebook that's particularly for this chapter. Okay, you need a notebook for consultation and analysis, because stuff that I'm going to teach you, questions I'm going to ask you to have that notebook when you're in the building, and to also we're going to put assignments in that notebook when you're not in the building. Okay. This just goes in part to us making sure you understand what you're doing, you understand the treatment, okay, you're understanding the treatment, and also you're understanding the products. Okay. Everybody every day will be practicing skin analysis, consultation, no matter what course you're offering. I'm sure when you someone is coming to get lashes, that there's a conversation that's being had about what do they want versus what do they need. And this is the same conversation that cosmetologist has, the same consultation that manicurists will have, an esthetician. What do you want versus what do you need? Okay. And I'm always gonna present the professional service provider is always going to present what the client needs first and try to accommodate their wants in it as well. But you have to know your scope of practice, and that's the first thing I want everybody to learn: scope of practice. Okay, I'm gonna put in the comments scope of practice. Let me see. Okay, everybody needs to understand the scope of practice. All right. The scope of practice, what you're able to do under your licensure, what you're trained for. Sometimes it's easy to go outside of that scope, but remember, we cannot diagnose. Okay, we cannot create treatment plans. We cannot um, act as a doctor. All right. Even though in certain fields of trade and beauty, there are doctor status, we are not operating in that space. Okay. Palpation, visual palpation is touch, and consultation is our words. So we want to make sure that we are loosening up, coming out of a scared space or maybe a quiet space. This is where your the heart of your license is going to come in. Okay, this is where the heart of you building a rapport relationship with your client is going to come in. You want to build trust as well, not just a relationship. You also want to be influential, which means at the same time you want them to trust you, because you've shown time after time that you have their best interests at hand. You're going to use your eyes. You're going to use your hands, your touch. You want to feel. You're going to use so many senses. And then we're going to speak with our words and come to a solution of what we need to do for each client. Okay. We're going to do about 20 minutes of this, and then we're going to move to our next course, which is lash specialty. So, in identifying skin type, there are four types of skin. Y'all, sometimes people will say there are 5 types of skin. There are 4 types of skin. And let me put them in the chat. Once again, you don't have to write it down, but it is recording. 4 types of skin. We're looking at dry skin, oily skin, normal skin, and combination. Okay. Normally, combination is a oily plus dry. Okay. And it can either be oily in the center of the skin, dry around the perimeter, or it can be oily around the perimeter, dry in the center. Okay. Hold on one moment. I'm in the hospital too, guys, with my mom, so I got calls. Hold on. All right, guys, thanks for holding. So I put in the chat the 4 skin types. Now the fifth that the this here gets confusing. Sensitive skin is not a skin type. It's a condition. Okay. Sensitive skin is not a skin type, it is an condition. All right. And so I want everybody to mentally record that there are 4 skin types: oily, dry, normal, and combination. All right, oily, dry, normal, combination. And then there's one that people confuse and put into the skin type category, but it, in fact, sensitive skin is not a skin type, it is a skin condition. All right. Sensitive skin is a skin condition, and anybody can have sensitive skin. So you may have a certain type of skin, but it can also be sensitive. Okay. And so I just want to make sure we put that out there. Once we understand those types, then we can start listening to the client, taking our knowledge, and then determining how we're going to service the client best. And that in doing that, we understand what products to use, such as the mask is very, very important based on the type of skin we are dealing with. That's where you would choose your face mask. Okay. And that's usually a treatment mask. Same thing for your cleanser, so on and so on, exfoliator, so on and so on. So you got to be 100% mindful, 100% mindful of your skin types, okay? Because we're going to have different measurements to really base what we're going to do for our clients. Evaluating the T zone. So I want you to look at the picture here and look at the T zone. It looks just like a T. It's going to be the forehead, the nostril, nose, and the chin, right under the smiley face. If you were to smile, and under your bottom lip, it's going to be that particular area. That is the T zone. This is the area that it should be focused, that you'll be able to see a change in texture and a change in type of skin. This usually is the area where you may see in combination, one may be oily, L1 may be dry in this area, and it's vice versa. So you want to make sure we look at that. Okay. When I look at palpation and touch, sanitize your hand, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, and then when you dry them off, you're going to touch the client's skin. You may thump the skin, pinch the skin, roll the skin, rub the skin, however you need to do, but you're trying to get an understanding of the texture. Okay, so as we come back in the building tomorrow for those individuals, every client that comes through, we need to look at the skin a little closely. We need to touch the skin. Okay. Well, what are you saying, Miss Costa, that you're looking for in touch? I want to I want to know, does is it soft or is it rough? Does it feel smooth or does it feel textured, leathery? Okay. That's going to also tell us in the future what treatments we need to use to tighten it up. So we're looking at, we're not looking at the bad parts of someone's skin, but we're looking at the issues that they are currently dealing with. And we're getting sound feedback. And then we're going to prepare a plan to move forward, a treatment plan. The treatment plan is this: okay, she's gonna need three facials with tightening serums and tightening masks, just a focus on tightening skin, or she may need this amount of treatments focused on cultivating this dry skin. She's gonna need hydration, 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 or vice versa. But we build that treatment plan based off of what we see, what we touch, and the answers that they are giving us to the consultation. All right. So that's one factor that we will always be looking at. And again, we're talking about the four skin types. The only way, now the book can always give you definitions, but let me tell you, the only way to get in there is to really get in there with real people. I don't know about you, but I am a people watcher, especially going to the park and going out of town and just kind of taking a breeze. I, just have a tendency to enjoy resting and enjoy people just kind of walking around. Um, when I learned I'm a colorist at heart, then moved into being an esthetician. So I've always had a keen eye to figure out what the issues were when it came to hair color. And I would go to the grocery store, I would take friends, family, and just sit there and do analysis and ask what were the problems and just figure out, y'all, how could I solve it? And so you're going to see a lot of people with issues, and then what we're going to do, we're going to start to break down and figure out how can we solve it. Okay. And so, as I stated before, the four skin types: normal, combination, oily, and dry. I have another PowerPoint that I am going to put in the Facebook group, and that gives some detail as well. It's just like a sister to this particular slide for my estheticians. So, in talking about the normal skin types, um, and with normal skin type, let's just look here. It's going to be um, the skin is going to be smooth. The skin is going to be soft. You are not going to have any pimples. You're not going to have any breakouts. You're not going to have any enlarged pores. And when you do see enlarged pores, that tells you oily skin or acne may be in play. All right. You're gonna have an equal amount of hydration. So you're not gonna have any dry patches anywhere. Okay. You're not gonna have an issue with sebaceous glands not working properly. And sebaceous glands produce oil. And a lot of times when individuals have dry skin, their sebaceous gland, their oil production is not working. Okay. So normal skin conditions, here we go. Combination skin, like I've stated before, it's a combination of oily and a combination of dry. It could be the T zone area, could be either or. Okay, could be either or. Oily skin, we definitely can see like a shine. You can take tissue and you can blot, and if you blot and you can see an absorption of oil on the tissue, definitely this person has oily skin. Um, and with oily skin, I am going to say it has a tendency. How do you know that there's acne will follow or breakouts or pimples? Because the sebaceous glands are producing more oil than anybody else. Also, The area, the follicle, the pore has enlarged itself to hold the oil. What you want to do is shrink the pore so it does not, the oil does not have a place to be stored. All right. The smaller the pore, the less oil. The less oil, less acne, less pimple breakouts. Okay. And so this is why we use the high frequency after extractions, the high frequency after a mask. Again, just to make sure we close those pores and just to make sure that we kill bacteria as well, because the oil can really carry a lot of bacteria when we touch our face and stuff like that, and just starts to cause us having irritation, different things on the skin. So we want to make sure if your client is oily skin, there's a lot of little details that we have to watch out for that may could happen with their skin. Dry skin, of course, individuals will, it will be associated with dehydrated skin, so a loss of water. So dry skin can be a lack of oil and also a loss of water. Okay, and so all skin types need water, but dry skin just makes it even worse. All right, many individuals can put product on and turn around and say, "Hey, I thought I just put product on." I'll tell you about that next week. It's called TEWL, and you may have seen clients with it as well. But dry skin causes the skin to lose its elasticity, and so it dries out the moisture levels in the skin. So, yes, you have to feed the skin with hydration on the inside and on the outside. Okay, so increase water intakes, and also increasing the water intakes. Your product selection should be heavy emollient, which means large molecule moisturizers, fluffy. That's why I like creamy moisturizers, just fluffily and long lasting. Doesn't cover the skin, but it gives great hydration. Um, I found that someone was saying that Vaseline was their like go to, and they were adding different things to it. One thing we're going to learn about Vaseline, petroleum jelly has a smothering effect on the skin. It is, the molecule is so large it cannot go in, it cannot be absorbed into the pore. Where the skin is the largest organ, whatever you put on it, it's a big sponge. It's supposed to be absorbed into the body, into the skin. Where petroleum jelly, the molecule is so large, it just sits there and it smothers. All right. So it kind of prevents the skin from doing what it needs to do, because it's something so thick sitting on top of it, it can't, you can't do anything. Okay. And so, yes, petroleum jelly may have its part in a function that your client is familiar with. But one thing about it, I don't want to use a petroleum jelly unless it has an additive for healing. This is why I go to maybe an Aquaphor or A&D ointment over a petroleum jelly, because it has not a healing property. It may give you great shine, but it is not used as a vehicle to deliver ingredients to the skin. I need y'all to understand that. You can add whatever you want to add to petroleum jelly, but it's such a thick vehicle. It does not penetrate into the pores. So with people saying, "Oh, I'm adding vitamin E, or I'm adding turmeric, I'm adding all these great things to it, and it's gonna be amazing and it's great for my skin," on the top level, maybe, but I'm gonna say no. It's not an educational explanation. It's not broken down where it absorbs into the skin. And so, how can those ingredients be beneficial to the skin? It's just sitting in something very thick that's smothering the skin. So remember, if you're gonna go for a cream, ointment consistency like a petroleum jelly, go with something that has a skin benefit, that has delivery, that has healing, and this is why Aquaphor and A&D ointments are recommended. All right, in place of petroleum jelly. And so I have to say that because that's a go-to for a lot of people, and it does not need to be a go to. Once you learn your ingredients and how your skin absorbs them and how your skin receives them, then you'll be able to say, that's not the best product for me, maybe for her, but I know what I need. Okay. So we will discuss dry skin. I'm going to take some questions and I am going to get ready to go. Um, hey, how you doing? Good. I'm gonna hold on, guys. What I want you to do, let's take some questions. Go ahead and take a 5. I'm gonna go to the next course and we're gonna be in lash specialty. So take 5 and I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. And as we prepare to go to our second half of our class, let's head over to our dashboard. And as I was stating before, I'm going into the lash course now. Um, Consultation and analysis is for everybody. The more educated you are, the more you hone your craft, the more questions you ask. It just builds increase to your worth of your services. Okay, and really, people want honesty. They want knowledge. They want know-how, and they become invested. All right. Let's go over to where we left off in two. And already looking at anatomy and physiology of the eye, I do want to go pinpoint a few little areas here. With everything we do, and I just stated that everybody needs to learn about analysis and consultation. One reason that we have licensure is to make sure we are following that guideline. You have to know what you're touching in order to perform the service. Last night we were reviewing anatomy and physiology, and for the night students, and I told them you need to know the muscles, you need to know the bones of the face. Okay, and they was like, why is that important? Because if something goes on, you're touching something, every touch has an action. Okay, it stimulates something else, and so it's important for you to be a master of your craft and know what you're doing, not just in sight, visual, I can copy what I see, but actually having the training behind you to know exactly what you're doing. And so, in that analysis, we're going to continue to move forward. I think we talked about the eye being an organ, but it's also a sensitive organ. So that means today we talked about two organs. One was skin, which is the largest, and then you have the eye, which is another organ, but catered as very, very sensitive. Okay. And so if we are working around the eyes, our number one priority need to be making sure we protect the eyes. Okay. I'm going to also discuss with you something called brace, BRACE. Estheticians and lash specialists should always learn how to brace the client. And when I say brace the client, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, hold on one moment. Okay, so as we're back, we look at brace. Okay, bracing is that we're performing a service with mainly our right hand. Our left hand needs to be close by. And so, if we're working close to the eyes or anywhere around on the face, if you're doing lashes, one hand may be doing predominantly, hey, the work, hold, and you should be bracing your mannequin or your client with your left hand or vice versa. What a brace means is that you have full attention And if something came by, got close to the client's eyesight, your hand would come up to block it. And so you have a hand. Bracing is your hand close to the client eyes, whether on the forehead or around on the chin or the cheek area. And it's basically there, if anything's coming that way, that hand is supposed to have the reflex to stop something from going into the eyes, mouth of that particular client. Okay, that is brace. All right, and so moving back into our slides, we need to close out two so we can move into three. Now, two and three in the last specialty is all about knowing what's underneath what we're doing. We're not talking technique right now. We're simply talking, do you understand each part of the eye, the brow, the lashes, and those things that work underneath? Also, do you understand the diseases and disorders of the eye or any particular area? Okay. All right. So I remember us when we were on this particular area talking about the anatomy of the eye. You definitely have to know everything that you know about the front of it to the back. Okay. We talked about the components, conjunctiva, your pupil, your cornea, your iris. All right. And this is a very close reflection of what we deal with every day. Every essential part of the anatomy of the eye is supposed to be there. All right. So just think of us doing services and not even recognizing that the eye was so sensitive and had so much going on. All right. As we look a little closer, we do have different glands, and the glands as you see here, look at the picture. You do have the eyelash, but then you have the Zeus, which is connected to every hair. Okay. Just like sebaceous glands and just like oil glands are connected as well. Can you imagine every minute hair having this type of connection? Okay, so it's a lot going on at the end of the day, and it produces oil. Okay, and they're one of the purposes to revert sweat, to make bind together to make sure things do not come into the eye. There's something called an acid mantle that comes together and protects the skin, and it does the same thing in the eye for the skin on the face. Okay. Um, Here's also, let's look at the growth. This is going to be essential for this chapter, but also for your consultation if someone is coming in wanting to get some lashes, okay, some eyelashes. Hair growing at edge of the eyelid, okay. Eyelashes are hair growing at the edge of the eyelid. The lower lid has about 75 to 80 lashes. The upper lid has 90 to 160 lashes, so almost double. Okay. Eyelashes, the purpose, it protects the eye from debris. One thing we also need to notice, and this is a factor, every trendy style should not be conveniently just everybody that comes in wants it. And so you're like, okay, I'm just doing this one style on everybody. Remember, no two people are the same. And everybody, this is going to be an estimate of the amount of lashes. And it's not saying that this is the all for all as far as number of lashes. But in selecting a style of eyelashes, you have to be like this, guys. Head size, how close is the eyes, how close is the brows, and what's the shape of the head. Based on that, that'll tell you what best set of lashes fit each client. Okay, so if we doing mega volume on everybody, even someone with a diamond shape, which is a smaller head size, or someone with a round shape, which is a larger head size, a facial feature, um, those facial features that are supposed to be minimized are going to be more observant. Okay. And so you have to kick back on some of the lashes that you do. You may not be able to get 160 on top of another 160. All right. And then you may not be able to do 80 on top of another 80. You have to dress this and be very cautious and very mindful. This is a consultation tool for everybody. That your lower lid has an average of 75 to 80 lashes. What you add to it is definitely going to accentuate it. Okay. Your upper lid, 90 to 160. And it varies per everybody's not the same. Okay. With everybody being different, you got to expect things to be different. The eyebrows, here's some facts about the eyebrows. Grows along the brow bone above the eye socket, protects the eye from sun and dust, direct moisture away from the eyes, and then plays a role in expressing emotion. Hey guys, remember pandemic, we wore masks, and so we didn't have anything to do but dress our eyes up and dress our eyebrows up. That was a part of us still continuing its beautification, and the eyes have it. I believe that eyelashes grew in popularity as well, and we saw a lot of beautiful brows and a lot of beautiful brow enhancements as well. So, as for the individuals that don't have brows, okay, we need some help, i.e., I'll be the first one in line, okay? This course also is going to teach you about brows and some of the importance and how brows and lashes come together. So, very key, I want you to be able to research and understand that eyebrows have just as significance as eyelashes. Okay. And it's one of its purposes, it directs moisture away from the eyes. So it keeps stuff from coming into the eyes, it directs it away. We look at three areas of eyebrow, and I think we were here. Your eyebrows is three areas. You have the head, the body, and the tail. So the month of June, we do want to dedicate that to the face. So not only are we advancing in facials, we want to talk about brow waxing, facial waxing. We want to talk about lashing, and also brow services. Okay, brow lamination, brow tinting, things of that nature. So here we go with the areas of the eyebrow. The head grows up, the body diagonal or sideways, and the tail goes down. Okay, and so that's typically how we're going to be sculpting our brows and how you're going to be graded upon. Okay, the head, the body, and the tail. How well do they look together? And we also look at eye and eyelid shapes. Okay. This is something we need to, okay, eye and eyelid shape. We have almond, we have round, we have downturned. All right. And a lot of times we look at our clients, we don't even pay attention. But definitely we want to look at the eye and eyelid shapes because, as I told you before, it helps determine what type of lash style we're going to do or what type of brow style works best for this client. upturned, monolid, and hooded. So as we explore these 6 different types of eye and eyelid shapes so far, we need to this weekend be able to look at people and say, can I take a picture? And the best thing is taking pictures because you're going to do something called photo journaling. Okay, photo journaling, which means you can keep those pictures in your phone. We'll put them in a certain category, and you need to your eyes need to be able to determine upturn versus monolid versus hooded. Okay, and hooded versus downturn. And so, as you train your eye, you're gonna need plenty of pictures of individuals and plenty of practice because you're gonna have to learn that by eye, by sight. Also, let me talk about your reviews when it comes to and your study mechanisms when it comes to this course. All of your check-in questions should be state are considered to us state board prep questions. So all of your check-in questions are considered state board prep questions. All of your terms are going to be terms of reference as you prepare for state board as well. As we look at eye spacing on the face, these are all considerations. This is why I say consultation and analysis very, very, very important. Okay. Very, very important because again, everybody cannot get the same lash style. Everybody has a different facial shape. Everybody got different eye shapes. Everybody got different space, a different amount of space between the eyes. Okay. And so that's something always to observe. And some of the most amazing looks come from professionals who observe these considerations. Okay. When you look at eye spacing, okay, guys, look at the amount of space in between. You have prominent, you have deep set, you have close eyes, so the eyes are what you see it is very close together, and it shows you with lashes and without, the looks with and the looks without. Hold on one moment. Okay. And so as we're looking at, hey,
Just want to check our sugar.
awesome. So as we're looking at this set of eyes here, you see the eye sets with and without the lash enhancements. You have prominent, you have deep set, close set, and wide set. Okay. And so it gives you, in the second column, it gives you the suggested lash style.
You okay? Yeah.
Hold on. She was just okay. So you guys make sure on this slide 16 that you're looking really closely at their suggestion of lash style. Okay. Especially look at the deep set with and without, and you will start to see how it looks with lashes and how it looks without as you start to analyze and have consultation with your clients. You know, sometimes they tell you that the eyes tell it, and start to observe just different details about your client's eyes as far as the spacing between it. Are they close? Are they wider apart? The eye shapes. How does it look with? And
You
how does
okay?
it look without lashes?
It's good.
Okay. Let's look at those facial shapes. Finally, some to the good part.
I'll be back. Check on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm going over to the chat. When you look at facial shapes, I want you to remember this. All right, if you look in the chat, I got two terms: shot, SHOT, door, DOR, or shop, SHOP, DOR. If you were in cosmetology and you had any cosmetology experience, we would usually call this as an easy recognition to learning the facial shapes, and we used to call it shop door, SHOPDOR. But I see in the lash course, they're calling it shot, SHOTDOR. And this is why they're calling it shot. T, the triangle facial shape, used to be called pear, P. Do you understand where it comes from? So triangle used to be called pear. All right. And so it depends. The information can be same. They may just change one thing, but you need to know it is still the same information. So in order for it to be up to date and to follow along with what's in your book, we're going to call it SHOT door. Okay. SHOT door is an acronym for you to understand and remember the facial shapes, the 7 facial shapes. Okay. And as we spell it out, shot door. S is for square. H is for heart. O is for oval. T is for triangle. D is for diamond. O is for oblong. Okay. And R is for round. Shot door. So now here's the thing. Every facial shape already gives you areas, um, and these areas are always already focuses for you to minimize. So let's take for instance square. Okay, square, you're going to have wide temples, and if you close your eyes and think about someone who has a square facial shape, that's someone that has 4 points. Okay. On females, on women, you want to anything that there's harsh lines and points, sharp lines like a box, you want to minimize that. Okay. And so you want our objective is for women to look more feminine unless they actually want to look the way that they look. Okay. So when they come to us, we are to pull those amazing features out and minimize the ones that are more prominent, that does not really do them justice. Okay, that shows a hardness to the face. So any facial feature that has lines with a hard point, you want to minimize that. That's where contouring comes from with makeup. Okay, that's where hair cutters and hairstylists they start bringing things towards the face. To they're trying to minimize and change your focus. Same thing here again when it comes to lash and brow styling. You got to know the facial shapes. And so if someone comes to you with a square facial shape, I want you to think about a box. It's not that hard. So a square box has four parts. All right. And think about this as someone's face. So there are hard lines and there are hard corners. What we should be doing, because we know that this face is going to be wide. Our objective is how do we minimize this area? That focus is not on the area where the harshness is. Okay. Um, and as we continue to go on, it's going to tell you how to minimize those hard lines. Okay. So square is your S. H is your heart. One thing about the heart, if you draw a heart, you're drawing that facial shape. You're going to have a wider forehead area. Okay. And you're going to have a narrow, smaller chin area. So a wider top of the head, face, and a smaller part of the face. And remember, oh, I don't know if we're recording or not. I hope we are. Okay. Um, and so that's the heart. And then the O, let's go for oval. Oval is symmetric. All right. So there's a balance from side to side and up and down. There's a balance. And so oval is your average, like your normal facial shape. These individuals can pretty much wear anything. Hair, anything on the lash style, the brow style. It just have an oval. Most of the features are probably balanced within each other as well. Okay. And to close out shot, you have triangle, which means a smaller, narrow forehead, but a wide jaw and chin line. Okay. So a wide jaw and chin line. And so our job would be to minimize, bring the attention up to the eye, but take the attention away from the neck, jaw area. Door starts with D, so a diamond. Most of the time, diamonds are going to have smaller head size, but they're going to have a wider cheek area with points, and then a smaller forehead and a smaller chin. Okay, you may have seen these features before. Diamond tends to also have a longer neck than some individuals, so wide at the cheekbone, narrow at the chin. Okay. When someone that has a smaller head, they're diamond, you know they don't have a lot of forehead space. And I know we probably seen this. We need to, hairdressers have to look at this. Okay, if this person is getting a wig, this person is getting a frontal, this person is getting lashes, what attention do we want to bring to that space? Because there's already a small space. So we have to be honest with our clients and make the right decisions. Now, of course, if the clients choose not to take your opinions, you can choose to do the service or not do the service, but you got to be honest and give them the truth as well. The last O is going to be oblong. Okay. And oblong, just like the word it is part of long. Okay. And so it reminds you of rectangle. It does have some harsh lines. So it's the jaw area um could be kind of hollow, kind of still be in a balance, but the forehead and the chin ratio is longer. So this person has a lengthy facial feature, lengthy face shape, and we would need to, if we're doing brows and lashes, figure out how to do a set of lashes that brings great attention at the eyes and take the attention off the length of the face. R is round, okay? R is round, so it's a even circumference all the way around. There's a width in every area of the face, okay? So we need to learn how to do a lash or brow set without bringing much attention to the width of the face and the length, the roundness of the face. All right. And that comes in with practice, studying individuals, and just continuing saying, hey, I'm going to keep it going. More eyelash growth stages. This is probably my favorite component when it comes to eyelash growth. Um, I feel like this particular area is a high area for your exam. So please make sure that you're studying chapter 2 and chapter 3. All right, chapter 2 and chapter 3, as I'm giving you a little jewel as far as areas I need you to concentrate on. All right, so when we look at hair growth, there are 3 stages to hair growth. You have your anagen, stage 1, your catagen, stage 2, and then your telogen, stage 3. Okay? ACT. That's what we call it. ACT. This is the same information from our estheticians that we're going to discuss when we get ready to talk about waxing in the next week or two. All right? There is a growth stage. It is the same for my cosmetology students. It is the same for estheticians, and it is the same for lash specialists. Okay. Hair grows in 3 stages. All right. The anagen is the growing phase, the catagen is the pause phase. Nothing is growing. And the intelligent is the shedding phase. Okay. What happens continuously? The hair grows, it pauses, it sheds. Grow, pauses, sheds. And it continues like that continuously until something happens where hair does not grow there anymore. Okay. Everybody can be on separate growth cycles. All right. And how is this important for estheticians? Estheticians, you guys going to be waxing. Okay. When you wax someone and the young lady comes back and say, I just got my hair, I just got waxed. I got hair already again. Some factors could be that they've used razors, they use other types of hair removal, and they're all over the place. They're not timing it, they're not clockwork, they're probably cutting hair every time they get in the shower. Okay. Um, it's going to be good for estheticians to do a clean slate and tell the client, especially after the first time, I expect you to come back sooner. But once we get you on a plan, you should be consistently coming back, so on and so on. When it comes to lash specialty, how are you concerned with this? Because you need to understand the growing phase, the pause phase, and then also the shedding. Yes, you will have clients who shed, but if your clients are in the intelligent phase, which is the shedding phase, and you're doing a new set, you're probably going to get some disappointment because all of those sets are going to come out, especially if you have to attach hair to hair. And don't let it be a hair um, that is that it weighs too much. It may even break. Okay. And so that's going to be one of the factors we'll continue to talk about forever and ever, that you have the growing phase, anagen, ANAGEN, catagen, CATAGEN, and telogen, TELOGEN. All right. So as we particularly get ready to close, these are just some scenarios about lash extensions. What we would do is treat these as study guide questions. I'm gonna have Maya do the story moments. Okay, and so it's about 4 or 5 of them. And so you will give the best answer and send them in as your assignment. Okay. And
Okay, that's for chapter 2.
uh-huh.
Okay, and let's do this Sunday by 11:59.
Yeah. Just Monday morning.
Monday morning. Okay.
Also, I'm gonna send you the study guide for chapter 2 as well, so you can study and start building up your study guides in preparation for your exam. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. That's going to close us out for this week theory for aesthetics and also for lash specialty. For my esthetician students, if you if I did not give you a skin analysis study guide yesterday, I will be giving you one tomorrow. Okay, so make sure my esthetician students who are coming in the building, we're gonna do a small walkthrough and preparation for setup, and then we're going to have a focus on consultation and analysis, and then we'll be servicing clients. So I'm super excited about tomorrow. And then we'll meet each other again Monday and Tuesday. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. You know how to contact me if you need me, and I'm really serious about that. Okay, so give me a call as soon as you have a question. Let's get it knocked out. I am continuously working on hours, and I want to have them pushed out by Monday. But y'all give me a call. I'm hanging with mom today at the hospital, so I got time. So I'm working on hours, and just reach back at me. You will probably see some emails because we got to take care of the back office, got to take care of the business. So, y'all have a great day and stay safe. And I want to see y'all in the place tomorrow and next week. Good afternoon, good night.